Hey everyone, welcome to this explainer. For the longest time, AI has been basically trapped in this box of pure text. Sure, it could read and write all day long, but it couldn't actually experience the world around it. Today, we are unpacking the absolutely incredible leap from those basic text-only systems to the dynamic models we have now. Models that can literally see, read, and listen.
To kick things off, I want you to just think about this for a second. How exactly do you teach an AI to look at a picture of a pancake, recognize what it is, and then accurately describe its flavor or its texture using words? Sounds super simple to us, right? Because our human brains just do it instantly. But for a computer, that represents a completely mind-bending challenge of cross-modal understanding. Seriously, bridging that gap between pixels on a screen and actual language is no small feat.
Okay, let's dive into this. Here's our roadmap for today. We'll start with what multimodal AI actually is, look at a few real-world tasks, tackle something called the alignment problem, see how these models scaled up, and finally, we'll look at the native multimodal future.
So, Section 1. What exactly is multimodal AI?
The biggest limitation of early AI is simply that it lacks the senses to understand the wider physical world. It's kind of like trying to describe a beautiful sunset to someone using only a dictionary. It just doesn't work. And that brings us to multimodality. Technically speaking, this is the scientific study of heterogeneous, interconnected data. We're talking about things like texts, images, and audio all coming together. Think of it exactly like our human senses. We don't just read the world, we see it, we hear it. The whole goal here is to represent and summarize all this different data in a joint way. We want to preserve the really complementary information while filtering out the redundant stuff. We're basically trying to give AI a synchronized sensory system.
Moving right along to Section 2. Real-world multimodal tasks.
To really see this in action, check out this natural language visual reasoning task. Basically, the AI is given a pair of images showing different trains, alongside a text statement. But here's the catch. Instead of just identifying objects like, hey, that's a train, the AI actually has to reason. It has to look at both images and figure out if the text statement, like, there are 2 trains in total traveling in the same direction, is actually true or false. It has to prove that it truly comprehends the visual relationships, not just memorize what a train looks like. And this brilliantly illustrates another task, which is visual question answering. Let's say we feed the AI an image of a pancake alongside a tea set, and then we ask it specific questions, something like, are the napkin and the cup the same color? The AI has to process the visual input of the image, process the natural language of the question, and then actually select the correct answer from a multiple choice list. It is genuinely so impressive to watch a model directly reason through a physical scene to arrive at the right answer. Which brings us to Section 3, the alignment problem, and introducing a model called Oscar. We've seen what the AI needs to do, but how do we actually build the thing? How do you align text and images together when there are absolutely no explicitly labeled connections between the regions in a picture and the words in a sentence? Notice those bounding boxes drawn around the dog and the couch? Well, a model called Oscar solved this by using what we call salient objects. Oscar operates on this really brilliant motivation. Salient objects can be accurately detected by computer vision, and those exact same objects are usually mentioned in the paired text. So Oscar uses these detected object tags as crucial anchor points to bridge the gap.
The architecture to actually pull this off involves 2 main steps, working right in tandem. Step 1 uses a computer vision tool called Faster RCNN to extract the visual semantics. Basically, it's pulling the visual data and the physical positions of the objects directly straight from the image. Then, Step 2 takes the text tags, so the words dog and couch, and runs them through a pre-trained BERT tokenizer.
Now, here is where the absolute magic happens. The AI takes those physical, visual features of the dog and the couch that it just extracted, and it maps them into this high-dimensional mathematical space. You can kind of see it here, the cluster of data representing the couch over there, and the cluster representing the dog. Let's move to and see how this builds. To complete the puzzle, Oscar takes those word embeddings from the BERT tokenizer and maps them into that exact same dimensional space. By using the object tags as anchors, the visual data and the text data for the dog and the couch align perfectly in the model's brain. It's amazing. It has officially connected the visual concept with the written word.
All right, Section 4. Scaling up with Clip and Flamingo.
So Oscar solved alignment, which is great. But how in the world do we scale this up for open-ended tasks without massive computational waste? To really understand this leap, we have to contrast the old with the new.
The old computer vision paradigm was frankly rigid. It required thousands of training samples and huge amounts of computing power for every single specific task you wanted to teach it. The new goal, which was totally inspired by the massive success of large language models, was flexibility. We wanted to train multimodal models capable of open-ended tasks in what we call a few-shot regime. That just means they can learn brand new tasks with only a handful of examples, a real game changer.
So the crucial point here is how models like Clip and Flamingo actually achieve this. Clip stepped in by introducing self-supervised signals, which are widely used in natural language processing, into the realm of vision, using a massive dataset of image-text pairs. But Flamingo is the real hero of this story when it comes to saving resources. Because look, training large language models is incredibly expensive. Flamingo bypasses all of that by starting with a pre-trained, completely frozen language model. It then interleaves cross-attention layers to bring in the visual data, and it uses a perceiver-based architecture to handle these high-dimensional visual tokens without crashing the whole system. Basically, it bolted a highly efficient set of eyes onto an already brilliant language brain.
And that brings us to our final section, Section 5, the native multimodal future, the era of Gemini. We are finally moving past models with these bolted-on senses to ones designed natively for multimodality from the ground up. Enter Gemini. Gemini comes in 3 sizes: Ultra for highly complex tasks, Pro for scale, and Nano for on-device applications. And the benchmarks here are just staggering. It literally set new state-of-the-art results in 30 out of 32 benchmarks across text, image, video, and speech. But even more impressively, it is the very first model to achieve human expert performance on the MMLU. Now, the MMLU tests 57 diverse subjects. We're talking law, history, math, you name it. Achieving expert performance here means the AI now possesses massive, real-world knowledge and genuine problem-solving ability.
But how does a model like this actually think through those complex tasks? Well, Gemini uses something called chain of thought with uncertainty routing. Essentially, when it's faced with a really tough problem, the model produces several different chain of thought samples, basically multiple ways of thinking through the problem. If it's highly confident, it selects the majority vote among those thoughts. But if it's kind of uncertain, it defers to a safe, greedy sample choice. It's this beautifully structured way of reasoning that prevents the AI from just guessing blindly.
And this quote perfectly captures the ultimate technical solution we've been building toward all this time. Gemini is able to output images natively without having to rely on an intermediate natural language description. We have entirely removed the text middleman. The AI isn't just translating text into a prompt for a separate image generator anymore. It is natively thinking and outputting in images and audio just as fluidly as it does with text.
We've gone all the way from text trapped in a box to systems that natively understand our vibrant sensory world. So I'm going to leave you with this final thought. If AI can now natively see, read, and listen simultaneously without even breaking a sweat, what open-ended human task is it going to master next? The sheer pace of this advancement is just breathtaking. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I'll see you next time.